All right, so right now we can see price is actually seated on this trend line. Okay, so all what you just need to do is price to bounce off that trend line.
Hey peeps, Admiral right here, the prophetic analyst. Welcome back to my channel. So this is a weekly market forecast for the 7th to the 11th of July. Okay, so we'll project 500 to 1,000 pips into the future, week in, week out. So without further ado, let's dive into the business of the day. So we are getting started with gold. Just like you can see, gold was more bullish last week, though we were looking for a buy to sell scenarios on gold. Okay, but that sales did not happen on either of the zones in which we were looking for, so hence why we did not take any sales nor trades on gold. Okay, but my students were able to catch these buys, okay, these pullbacks, okay, this bullish retracement all the way to the upside. So with the help of our areas of interest, and also if you guys can remember, just like on the video, I made mention of this daily time frame trend line. Okay, but I say I don't really like using trend lines, okay, because my trend lines always matches with areas of interest. So looking at gold, okay, so you can see gold, that phase bounce, that third bounce, and we are most likely having a fourth bounce. And as we know, gold has been super bullish since the beginning of this year. All right, so this trend line is very much valid. Like I said, I'm going to make an in-depth video on how to use trend lines. Okay, I think I'm going to make a video on how to use trend lines, what time frames in which you have to use trend lines, and how well and which areas you should be able to use to support the trend lines. Okay, because this also works a lot. But why I don't really use them, or I don't make mention of them, okay, is because it also aligns with my areas of interest. Because if you go to the hourly time frame where you see price reacting from, if you look left, you can see price reacted here. If you look left further, you see there is a previous area of interest in which I had marked out there. So let me pull that forward. Okay, you're going to see, all right, so you can see that price had reacted. Price did not just respect because of that trend line alone, but it also reacted off these areas of interest, which is a previous support. Okay, looking left, you can see price bouncing off there. Okay, so that's why we had that bounce off. Okay, we had that bounce off on the trend line and price continuation. So just like I said, we are still very much bullish on gold, so we are still going to keep that as it is. Okay, so moving on for this week, let's see how last week actually closed, because it's always important to look at the weekly candle closure. Okay, so we can see here last week actually closed with this this bullish candle. Okay, it's not actually an engulfing candle on the weekly time frame, but it's a good bullish candle position in which we have. So we have some series of bullishness on the daily time frame. Okay, it's always important to look at your daily time frame. And also if you look left, you see where price is also reacting off is our daily areas of interest. If you are my mentee, you know the different time frames in which you are marking out your areas of interest and which ones are more strong and more sensitive for you to take trade calls. Like I said, that's why my mentees were able to ride this buy last week on gold, and they were able to make a lot of money for themselves. Okay, so moving forward to the hourly time frame, so no gimmicks. Okay, what we just need to do is we could have price continue bullish from this area. Okay, we could have price continue bullish. Remember, we are still targeting a phase zone of 33,000 ounce. Okay, 33,000 ounce. Then we could have a more bullishness back to a 34,000 ounce to the upside. So okay, so we could have little pullbacks or price just moving all the way from here to the upside from next week, or we could have price give us a slight deeper retracement. Okay, I would love to see that slight deeper retracement. Maybe price opens with a gap to the downsides with that slight deeper retracement, then we have that price continuations to the upsides. Just like I said, because of the trend lines and my areas of interest, my daily areas of interest in which price started buying bullish from here, I would still remain bullish. I would only look for the bearish side. Just like I said last week, it has to go below this trend line. So as far as price is still above this trend line, we are still very much bullish. So if price gives us a second deeper retracement to these zones of the 3291 ounce, then we could take our bullishness to our phase zone. Okay, but most likely price will start pushing to the upsides from these zones to our phase zone, mind you, 33,000 ounce. Then we could be targeting 34,000 ounce, which is 100% retracement level looking left. So that's it for gold. Up next is US oil. So I actually have a trade here which I'm holding through the weekend. Okay, hopefully that goes well, which I'm holding through the weekend to the upside. So I have my stops down below this week's, and we are targeting our first level TPs like 1:4, 1:3, thereabouts, around our zones. Then we are going all the way to 100% retracement level. Because hey guys, welcome back. So you can see US oil, how we predicted it into precision for last week. US oil, we have been holding this trade, guys. That's why I say what we know is we know how to take these trades or where to take these trades, but when price is going to hit and take profit or stop loss is what we don't know. Okay, for this trade, I and most of my mentees, we have been holding this trade. Even the signals in which I sent, I also sent it to the general community too, and the VIP too. Okay, we have been holding this trade for the past, I think, 9 to 10 days now since we took this trade. Okay, you can see, I think from the 26th thereabout, all the way to the upsides. Though currently we are in very good profit, I think almost 1:2, few pips away from 1:2, but we are still targeting these phase highs and overall these areas all the way to the upside. So we are looking at US oil to go back to first levels to $70 per barrel, and we are looking at price US oil to go back to as high as 75, as high as $72 to $75 per barrel. Okay, using our trading strategy. Okay, because also if we look at this where price is currently seated, okay, price has created somewhat like our divergence here, and looking left here, okay, we can see price is reacting off these previous areas of interest. So that's stuff that you guys call break and retest and a push continuations to the upside, and this is happening on the daily time frame. Okay, so we should most likely be having a very massive bullishness on US, although it's taking a lot of time, like I said, 9 to 10 days now, almost 2 weeks of holding this particular trade to the upsides, and hopefully price would continue suit. Okay, so that's it for US oil. Up next is the DXY. So for the DXY for last week, price was somewhere around here. Okay, so we wanted price to give us more deeper. I would have preferred price to give us a more deeper retracement to back to these zones before the continuations, but price had to do its thing. Rather, price kept ranging from here and dropped all the way to our next zones. Okay, so moving forward, let's see how the weekly time frame actually closed. Okay, we have price closing on the weekly time frame with more like this indecision candle. Okay, the doji candle. So we go to our daily time frame to see how the last few candles to the end of the week actually closed. Okay, so we can also see price giving us some few bullish candles to the upside. Okay, price has been very much bearish. Okay, so you know that price moves in a wave form. Okay, you know that price moves in form of a wave, like I always tell you guys. Okay, so you see price creating series of highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So we most likely would have a higher time frame lower high. Okay, price going back to either these zones or retracing back to these trend lines. Then we could have proper bearish continuations to the downsides on the DXY. Okay, so let's go to the hourly time frame. Let's simplify these zones well. Okay, but though it looks like price has come to that zones already, but it's not the way I would love it to come. Okay, so let me still mark out a zone like so. All right, so I would prefer to see price go deeply into these zones before a bearish continuation. So more like a buy to sell scenarios. Okay, if price fails to react off these zones, we should be seeing price coming back to this second zone, and which also aligns with this trend line in which we have all the way to the upsides. So we would be having more bullishness than before we should be thinking about the bearish continuations. Overall, remember, we are still very much bearish. So on the other side, price could be very tricky enough to start selling from here, but I don't really see that happening. Okay, like I said, price move in series of waves. Okay, so price has to complete the wave formation on the higher time frame, though we already have the wave formation, price wave formation moving on the lower time frame. Okay, but that of the higher time frame also has to be fulfilled. You have to see series of lower highs and lower lows to be possible on the higher time frame. So we can see in previous cases we saw price creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So can you spot any lower high there? No, not yet. Okay, so we should have a proper lower high to either the phase zone of the $97, or we have to these other zones of the either of the $97, which is the two zones that we're having there. Then we could have our bearishness to the downside. So that will be it for the DXY. Up next is Euro USD. So for Euro USD for last week, guys, we actually predicted Euro USD into precision, which was bearish continuations. More like all the trades in which we actually predicted last week went into precision, but the issue was that price did not give us our full confirmations. What I mean there by full confirmations is, like I always say, you plan your trades and you trade your plan. Okay, so we had planned our trades for price to give us pullbacks. Okay, for price to give us pullbacks into this area. Okay, this daily area of interest. Okay, we were planning our trades for price to give us reaction to the daily area of interest before a bullish continuation. So most likely that did not happen. So hence why we did not have any trade call on the on Euro USD for last week. Okay, so I think this was right about Monday. Price was more like ranging. Okay, price was more like ranging. Okay, so we are still very much bearish in this case, so I'm still going to give us, and our target is all the way 1.19002 to the upside. So I'm still going to give us a two-way scenarios to this. Okay, we may most likely see price reacting from here and heading to our 1.1190 to the upsides, or price may now be ready to come back to this our trend line, which would be the best thing that could happen to us. Okay, like I said, our trend line aligning, our trend line strategy aligning with our areas of interest. Okay, that's just one of the concepts in what we do. Okay, so that's why I said I don't really use trend line, but when you see this trend line also aligning with your areas of interest, they are very strong confirmation. So we could see price give us more deeper retracements back to this area of interest of the 1.16299. Then we could have bullish continuations to the 1.18988. Okay, like I always say, we predict 500 to 1,000 pips into the future. This should be up to 300, almost 300 pips. That's like 270 pips projections to the upsides. Okay, so we are still very much bullish on Euro USD. Okay, so up next is GBP USD. So for GBP USD, it's been a while I haven't been on GBP USD. Why is this so? Is because whatever directional bias we go for Euro USD is most likely what we are also having for GBP USD. Okay, so right now we are most likely having some strong confirmations for GBP USD, or for some strong bullish continuations for GBP USD and Euro USD as the same. Okay, so right now we can see price, those pullbacks that we're actually looking for has already happened on GBP USD. If you look left, you can see price is currently on our daily area of interest, just like I've aligned here. Okay, so these are actually one of those kind of base zones that is best suited for us to take price actions from. Okay, so we can also see price close with this pin bar or the reversal candle pattern. So we go to our daily time frame to see where price is actually seated. So price is actually currently seated between our 1.3649 and our 1.358 zones. Okay, so what can we do in this case without taking much of your time? Since this is our daily area of interest, okay, and price is currently seated there, let's look for the first level targets. Okay, let's look left. Let's go back to our daily time frame. Wow, it's quite difficult to find a zone. Okay, so here on the daily time frame we can find a zone here. So let's go back to our 4-hour time frame so that we could use that for our take profit for the bullish continuations, guys. Okay, so looking at price right now, on right here, price could continue moving from here all the way to the upsides and give us more like, let's see how many pip move that would be. Okay, more like a 200 pip projections to the upsides. Okay, more like a 200 pips projections to the upsides on GBP USD. Okay, so price could start being bullish from these zones all the way to our 1.38344 areas, or we could also see price give us a deeper retracement back to these areas of interest. Okay, this minor area of interest, then price continuations to the upsides. Let me extend this a little bit. Okay, so these are the best two zones, okay, to look for bullish continuation. Just like I said, as far as price still remains above this trend line, we are still very much bullish, and as until price goes below this trend line and also below these daily areas of interest. Okay, structurally wise, I like trading around my areas of interest. So if you look at price on the daily time frames, okay, price is actually creating series of highs and lows and highs and lows. Okay, so we can see price created a higher high, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So price is more like trying to create a new higher low right about there for us. Okay, either it starts moving from this area or it goes slightly deeper there, then we have bullish continuations to the upside. So you don't have to miss these trades for anything moving forward. Okay, so up next is USD CHF. So for USD CHF, price is still very much bearish. Just like we can see, price is still very much bearish, though I wanted price to give us a nice, maybe a week into just week back into the zones of the 0.805, okay, and continue bearish, but that did not really happen. Price was still going bearish, although as market open, price just continued bearish, then back to the upsides. Okay, so we hit more, like we did not have so much move on this pay. So for me, all right, I would still stand my grounds. Let's go to the daily time frames to see best levels. Okay, let's do this from the daily time frame to see the bigger picture of price. Just like I always tell you guys, that price moves in a waveform. Okay, you can see price creating series of high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So for some weeks now, maybe like 2 weeks now, we have been having bearishness and no series of lower high to be created. So this looks like a new lower low to be created. Then we could see price come back to give us a new lower high before the bearish continuation. So more like we could be having a buy to sell scenarios. So I'll keep this on the daily time frame by doing what? By marking these zones like so. All right, I'm going to mark these zones like so. So we could be having price pull back into these areas of 0.807. Then we could have price continue bearish to the downsides. We could even have price weak into these zones. Okay, but let's just work with the 0.07 of that area. Then we could have more bearishness continuations to the downside. So that's it for USD CHF. The last but not the least, USD JPY. So it's been a while. I also analyzed USD JPY, okay, for you guys. Okay, why am I doing so? Because USD JPY is part of our a kind of setups for the coming weeks. Okay, so I'll be looking at it keenly for price movement on the coming weeks. Okay, so let's so as we can see,
price has been creating series of highs, lows, highs, lows, highs, lows. So we also have this beautiful trend line in which we have here, in which price has been reacting off from the longest of times, and we should be seeing price sell all the way to the downside. Why is this so? Because price is quite very close, sorry about that, very close to our trend line, and this is also a daily areas of interest, and we should be seeing price coming back all the way to 100% retracement level. Looking left, 100% retracement level is somewhere around at the 140. Okay, 140s to the downside. So I love to keep it there on the daily time frame. So all what you can just do is put your sell to here, put your stops above these trend lines, and target first level is 100% retracement level here. Let me extend this area, so that would be a nice 1:2 plus, almost 1:3, which is our first level. Then you can go all the way to the downsides. So that'll be it for USD JPY, and that'll be it for this week. And if you love what we do, please do well to smash the subscribe button, like, share, and drop a comment on the comment section for us. Cheers.